Today we're going to be taking notes on energy transfer diagrams. Please be sure to have your TNOTES set up and remember to stop the video, copy everything down, and then start the video again to hear me explain everything. We've learned about forms of energy. So now we can talk about how energy can change from one form to another. We call that energy transfer. One example of energy transfer is when we're using gas that we put into our car so that we can drive it. Here we have the gas tank, here we have a car, and we know that gas is a chemical energy. It's a stored energy. Remember, it's a potential energy. And we can change this chemical energy into mechanical energy to make our car move. Another example is when we use electricity to turn on a light bulb. So for example, here we have chemical energy stored in a cell that turns into electrical energy that goes into the light bulb, and then it produces light energy and thermal energy. And remember, thermal energy is heat energy. So whenever you have your light bulb on too long, you'll notice that it gets really warm. Another example where energy forms can change into another form is this person here. He is biking up a hill and then going back down on the other side. So what we see here is that at the bottom, the biker is really putting in a lot of effort and he's moving, and so he's got mechanical energy here, and he is going up the hill, and when he gets up here, he's going to then have gravitational potential energy. And as he goes down the hill, it will actually change back into the first form, which was mechanical energy, and it's also just kinetic energy. So as you can see, when energy changes, it does not have to just change one time into something. It can continue on and on. In this case, there's 3 steps. So it goes from mechanical energy here to potential energy here, back down to kinetic energy, which is mechanical. Now, energy transfer diagrams. These are diagrams that visually show how the energy form changes from the beginning to the end. For example, when a car is moving but it begins to brake, its kinetic energy is transformed into heat energy in the brakes. And so our representation or our energy transfer diagram would show mechanical going to thermal or heat energy. Now, how do we draw an energy transfer diagram? Let's take the same example from the beginning with the gas and the car that's going to be driving. The first step that you want to do is you want to identify the energy form at the beginning of the transformation. In this case, we start with the gasoline here. Do you remember what this form of energy was? If you said chemical, you are correct. So we identified the energy to be chemical in the beginning of the transformation. Step 2 says to draw an arrow to the right of the energy form. So we have our chemical energy here. We just draw our arrow. So step 3 says to identify the energy form or forms that result. We have chemical, and we know that we're going to be driving the car, so the car is going to be moving. From here, we can say that the chemical energy goes into or changes into mechanical energy. Step 4, you want to repeat steps 2 and 3, so you're going to continue to draw more arrows coming out of this first energy form until all energy forms are identified. So can you think of anything else that might occur from using gas to make your car drive other than just making the car move? If you said thermal or heat energy, you are correct. So here what we have is we have chemical energy being in the form of gas that is transforming itself into mechanical energy and also into thermal or heat energy. So here we have an example of a person who is digesting food so that he can go on a hike. Go ahead and take a moment, pause the video, and try to draw the energy transfer diagram, then start the video back up. Okay, so step 1 says to identify what the beginning energy form is. In this case, it would be chemical. And from this point, chemical would then go into his body, and then the person would use it in order to move. And so we're going to say that chemical gets changed into movement, which is mechanical. And there is also something else that occurs. This chemical energy also produces heat. So we have chemical going to mechanical, and we have chemical going into thermal or heat energy. Here is another example for you to try. A person who ate too much food and the extra energy that he didn't use turns to fat. So go ahead and try this, pause it, and then start the video back up. Okay, so what we have is we have the junk food. And any of this food here, do you know what energy form it is? If you said it is chemical, that is correct. It is stored energy. Then it goes into this person here and it becomes chemical again. So whatever calories he ate that he did not use, it goes from stored food into stored food. Kind of cool, huh? Now, there is also a second thing that occurs, and this is pretty much with any process. You always lose heat or thermal energy as a byproduct. So we have chemical energy going into chemical energy, which is stored as fat, and we also have some of the chemical energy being converted into thermal energy or heat energy. Here is another example for you to try. So here we have a rocket that launches into the sky and it's going to be heading out to outer space. Go ahead and pause this video. Try to figure out what the energy transfer diagram is and then start the video back up. All right, so when we are launching a rocket into space, we have a lot of stored energy in the form of rocket fuel. So we have chemical energy, which is the fuel, and that is going to go into a lot of things. So let's take a look and see if you got the same things that I did. The first thing is that there is a lot of heat that's coming off of here. So if you said heat or thermal energy, that is correct. There is a lot of heat that is produced from burning the fuel. Another thing is mechanical. The object, the rocket, is going up into the sky. It is moving very quickly. It is kinetic energy. The third thing is that there is a lot of sound that is produced from this powerful rocket that is being launched into the sky. And the last thing is the gravitational potential energy. The higher that this object gets in the atmosphere, the more potential energy due to gravity that this rocket has. Hopefully you got everything, and you'll see that you should have at least 4 arrows, and that these 4 arrows tell you what this chemical energy turned into. All right, so we're at the end of the video. I have 5 practice problems for you to do. What I would like for you to do is to draw the energy transfer diagrams for the following 5 things. The first one is a battery being used to use a flashlight. So this is number 1. Number 2, a kid that is going down a slide. So he starts off at the top and goes all the way down. The third example here, the third problem, is for you to draw me a diagram for the sun that is entering into the solar panel. The fourth item here is fireworks and that are exploded into the sky. And the last thing I want you to do is to draw a diagram for wind that is turning a pinwheel. So make sure that when you're finished with everything, you have your T-notes and you have these 5 energy transfer diagrams finished and ready to show me in class.